Now, no, with the class, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Sayyidina wa nabiyyina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa akhlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
وعليكم
السلام
السلام ورحمة
ورحمة
الله
الله
وبركاته.
وبركاته.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, students, inshallah, shukran for joining, inshallah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our journey, through the understanding of the Arabic language. May Allah ta'ala make it easy for us, inshallah.
آمين آمين.
And it's very, very important also for us to realize, inshallah, that sometimes, like I need to also just inform us that, the subject that we're actually studying in, it's like the Arabic grammar. And many times, many of us, when we join, specifically an Arabic class, man, then you think, okay, no, fine. My whole purpose here is to be able to speak Arabic, or I want to converse in Arabic. But inshallah, it's very, very important when it comes to the Arabic language. And for that matter, any language, when you look at it, you find that, there's always certain slang that people use, obviously. And but most of the books that you will be reading or that you read, you find it's more normally based on the proper grammar. Now we call it like nahu. In Arabic it's called nahu. So you have conversational Arabic and we obviously have the proper grammar, that we're actually referring to. And inshallah, our study of this is the book that we're using, it's called First Steps in Arabic Grammar. And that is a book that they actually use at UWC. It's part of the Arabic course, that is like for first year students, they do that. And alhamdulillah, I have done it those years, alhamdulillah, I just want to also just give us the encouragement and the motivation, that you'll see that the enjoyable part of the Arabic language or the studying of Arabic language, and also to familiarize ourselves with Arabic, the Arabic language itself. It is something that you can actually, when you read, you find, it empowers you, because obviously the book of Allah, the Quran, is written in that language. And you'll find eventually as you go along, you'll be able to see that, with certain additions and deletions, we find, that certain Arabic words have stronger meanings, than sometimes which you and I will find when we look at the translation Quran, for example, And I think that is the beauty of the Arabic language, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, we will study Arabic here. In this particular case, we'll study it as, we do our normal grammar, okay? And if you look at the page that's on the screen at the moment, you'll see that we got it down as the noun, So obviously, as we can see, when we look at the study of every or any language, we find obviously that they have certain parts of words or whatever, or, that they bring together. And obviously, like for example, when you look at the noun, we find a noun is, like in this particular case, it's a name of something. Firstly, it's the name of a person, obviously, and obviously on the other, it can also refer to things. Now, the beauty of the Arabic language, if I just take us to page number 1 quickly, if you can look at it there, you'll see there on the top, it says the noun, it's al-ismu, al-ismu. Obviously, the question that will always come about, and this is important for you to remember, that when you speak the language of Arabic, or when it comes to conversational Arabic, you find that they won't pronounce the last, what we call it, the last signs, or in Arabic we call it like the vowels or the harakat. They won't pronounce that. You see, for example, if you see a word there on the board that's waladun, you will say walad, okay? But now importantly, when we study the language, it is important that you are able, and we will continue pronouncing that as well. When we sort of refer to the word, we refer to it as waladun, for example. I'll come to that now. We will say the last vowels that's on the actual word. The reason being is that importantly for the student, that when it's written in a certain format, and especially your last vowel will indicate to you the position of that word in the sentence. And that's very, very important, because sometimes with the harakat or the signs on it, it can actually tell you it is the noun, because sometimes they can tell you it's, for example, qualifying the noun, etc., etc., etc. Or it can actually also change, the actual reference of it in the sentence. So inshallah, the first thing that I would like to tell us is that we will be pronouncing all the vowels on the words as it is. So when you speak or when you do conversational Arabic, it's different. You'll make everything you end off with a sukoon, like a stop. You'll say waladun, but you'll say walad, But we will, as I say, we will do it as complete as that. So inshallah, please also, before we go deeper into the discussion, please remember, if there's anything that you are not clear of, alhamdulillah, we're not a lot on the class this evening, but obviously when it comes on a Tuesday night, there's about 18 people, so inshallah, you will add and make it about 20 odd. Alhamdulillah, it's a blessing. And you can see here, at least we have the opportunity that you can at least, interact with me. So if there's anything, please, that you don't understand, please, indicate, and then we will, just, discuss it, as soon, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. So first, as you can read it, in Arabic, there are two genders, and that's very, very important. When it comes to the Arabic language, you look at two genders. The one is masculine, mudhakkar. Don't worry about the Arabic references there, as long as just know exactly what we're talking about. You look, mudhakkar means masculine, or manlik in Afrikaans, masculine, and mu'annath meaning feminine. And that is very, very important, because the noun, when it is, for example, when it is masculine, then the whole sentence that you will be forming later on will also then have a masculine meaning. And everything will be affected and will be on the masculine pattern. And so inshallah, as you look at for example, feminine, you also find that if the subject of it is feminine, then the whole sentence will in turn also be done in a feminine reference. Okay, so that is important. So therefore, you'll get like we say, nouns, which is masculine, and when we look at it masculine, that will be our first study that we do here. The first section we're doing is just on masculine nouns. Okay. Firstly, we will find that a noun, as we had said, it is a reference to a male. Okay. It is a reference to a male. So a walad, a boy. See there, waladun. See there, al-kalimatu means the word, and ma'anaha meaning the meaning. That is, as it's there. So it means that is the meaning of it in English. So if you look at waladun, is a boy, and a boy will always be masculine. Why? Because there's never ever been a boy that is, that you will sort of see as a girl, unless, he dresses up as a girl and you convert him. So it means in Arabic you'll find, and anything referencing to a man or a boy will be a boy. Like a rajulun, a man, will be a man. A akhun, a brother, will be man. You know what I'm trying to say? And a abun, a father, will be man. So that is always masculine. But then we come to the second word, which is kitabun. See there, kitabun. Now, you see, as I mentioned to us, kitabun here is also, it falls under masculine nouns. Now, how can you and I see whether a kitab is masculine or feminine? We don't know that, right? But why we refer to it as being, okay. So, as we can see here, so there, waladun, right? Waladun, a boy. Can you see there? It's a boy. But when you look at kitabun, now, kitabun itself, there you can see, for example, it is a book. But why do we say it's masculine? The reason being it masculine is that you come to the second section where we see that anything, when it comes to feminine again, any reference to a person that, that connects to being feminine, like a girl, a mother, a sister, that's feminine. But then an addition to how we understand that a certain noun is feminine is when there is, like we call it, a ta marbuta. The ta that looks like a ha. The ta that looks like the ha, which, for example, let me just put it here. The ta that looks like that. Can we see that ta that I've added here at the bottom? You see the ta here at the bottom here? Where is it now? Yeah. Can you see there?
Yes,
so the ta that looks like that. So when it ends with that ta, then that indicates feminineness. Don't worry, we're going to come to that lesson. I just want to explain to us. So therefore, you can see, therefore, the word kitabun, the book or a book, is regarded as masculine. Okay, is there any questions on that? Any questions? Everybody clear on that? You can unmute yourself now. I think currently you're all on mute. So if you want to say anything, maybe you can just unmute yourself. Then you can, So can I carry on?
Yes, sir.
No. Okay, fine. Now we go. As we go further on here, we would read. I just want to read it to us quickly. In the block above, both nouns are masculine. The first noun, waladun, refers to a person. Okay. And the second, kitabun, refers to a thing. Thus, in Arabic, the masculine noun can either refer to a person or a non-person. We saw that at the top here. Then second, both nouns are indefinite. Now, there's the other thing. Remember, I mentioned to you that we will always make reference to whatever is, the harakat, or we say the vowels, meaning what makes the sound at the last one there. And can you see there what is the sign right on top of that last letter there? The very last letter. It is a un, right? It's a dommatain, meaning a un. Now, whenever you have that dommatain, you'll find that all the time when there is a dommatain at the end or the last of the word here, in this case the dal, in this case the ba, you will always find when it is there with the dommatain there, then it refers to as, please note, both nouns are indefinite. Therefore, we translated it as not boy, but a boy. Can you see there? And they call it like indefinite, mean it is not making a reference to a specific boy. It's not saying the boy. It says a boy. And that's very, very important. Okay, so remember that. Can you look at the format there, kitabun, but the last letter's got a un on. You see there? So I just want to make us clear on that. So remember, that is indefinite. Indefinite means it refers to a boy and not a specific boy. Okay, so that's the importance there of number 2. They will say it means a book and not the book, and thus they do not refer to definite or specific noun. And number 3, their indefiniteness is indicated by the dommatain. See there, the un. You know that we refer to the un, the dommatain there, the un. It refers to that. And that is the sign, importantly, very, very important, on the last letter of the word. Are we all comfortable with that?
Yeah, straightforward.
Now, okay, now we go to page number 5. There we are. Now you'll see the next page, on page number 2 there, or whatever, minus number 5, number 2, you'll find the examples of vocabulary. Now this you will get all the time. Every lesson you'll get new words that you must learn on. Okay, we are still trying to assist the students a means whereby they can memorize all those. But as I say, it is challenging because we don't speak the language every day. We'll speak about the boy, but we won't speak about the walad. And that is most normally how we remember. So we are busy now currently to see if we can maybe have little pictures, man, and then put, the actual Arabic reference to that. But inshallah, maybe you can just, look at this here. We can see if one thing which is common, they're saying non-person things, right?
Yeah.
Which means these are non-persons and persons, right?
Yeah.
So, and these are all masculine nouns. So when you say it's all masculine, look at it there. Baytun.
Yeah.
Baytun is a house. See? A house. Baytun. Can you see? Just observe. All the last letters of these words are all un sounds. So you can see there. So therefore it is a house. So if I even ask you, if I ask you in Arab, ma ma'na, what is the meaning of baytun? You can't say house, Or you can't say the house, but you must say a house. Reason being why we're doing that is because you're going to find, as you're going to go along into the discussions and in your learning, you find it's important, that you know how to identify something when it's indefinite and how to identify something which is definite. So there, you can follow after me and say, whatever the case may be. Okay, this is baytun, a house.
Baytun, house.
The other one is babun, a door.
Yeah.
The other one is jidarun, a wall. Okay. The other one is shari'un. Importantly, try and make the pronunciations proper you know, because sometimes we can tend to actually do the pronunciation improper. With the result, you're going to change the meaning of the thing. Okay? Therefore, it says shari'un, that is a street.
شارع
Darsun is a lesson. Kitabun is a book. Qalamun is a pen. And maktabun is a desk.
Yes,
Okay? Like I say, don't, maybe some of you might hear this the first time, but most of you who have received the first lesson already, this is just a revision that I'm doing for you all on that. You know, therefore, I would allow you to ask questions, but as I say, you can refer to that notes to just, you know, give you some more insight again. Then we look at the other section here, which is persons, right? Persons. Abun. See there? That is a father. Abun. Akhun is a brother, right?
Yeah.
Rajulun. Sorry.
Son.
Ibnun. Ibnun
Ibn,
is a
yes.
son. What? Therefore, they say Ibn Abbas, right? Ibn
Ibn
Abbas, the son of Abbas. But they won't say Ibn Nun there, they say Ibn Nu. But you know, don't worry about that because Ibn Abbas meaning, I'm just using the example, that refers to a definite one because that is Ibn Abbas, you know.
Ibn.
But here we say Ibn Nun, it means a son.
Okay.
Okay? Righto.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna, you know, Kanala disi pat van die lesson nie, but I'm just saying to you, because if you want to say my son, then you would say Ibni. Can you see why it's important I put the Ibnun? You see? And I emphasize Ibnun because now you're saying a son, you know, and you're not saying my son. And that is how we can see the Arabic language, your structure is still there, the alif, the ba, yeah, the alif, the ba, the nun will be there, but your last vowel there, that is important, that will indicate to you who you are referring to. Are you with me?
Yeah.
You got it? Ahsan. Right, waladun is a boy, you did that. Rajulun.
Ibn.
Rajulun. You see, Rajulun is a man. But if you say, for example, if you change that ra and you put it here, you say Rijulun, then it means feet. Can we see difference? So therefore, you need to be important. Rajulun, right? And then teacher, muallimun, muallimun. You know, what's was muallim na?
Yeah,
Muallimun
muallimun.
is a teacher. And then if you look at the pupil, and therefore you'll see the Arabic language is very specific. Sometimes you'll find certain words, it refers to, for example, two different things. Like sometimes we say, then you find in Arabic, for example, they say that is that word, for example, ma'idatun, or ma'idatun means a table, you know, and then you get another word for table as well, you know. So when in the Arabic language, you know, when you speak, for example, because here we say a pupil, but then there's another word. So we say a pupil is tilmidun. And this is importantly when it refers to a pupil, it refers to a kanala, it refers to a male
Pupil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember, a male. No? It is a male. That's very, very important.
Tilmizun.
And muallimun is a male teacher. Because you're going to come across where you're going to ask yourself the question, what is a female teacher? You can't say it's a muallimun, you know, because muallimun is for male teacher, you know, and pupil. And the reason why I'm also referring to pupil here, because you're going to find as we're going to go along also, we're going to refer to a student. You see, now they say a pupil and a student. They give a difference there. You and I would say, yeah, but the pupil and the student is the same thing. You know, in the Arabic language, it's two different completely. A pupil is a tilmidun, but a student is a talibun. See, talibun. And the word talibun is derived from the word talaba, means a student is somebody who requests knowledge or he searches. No? He researches for knowledge. Okay? And that is important. Okay? Righto. And then the last one, a servant, is a khadimun. Khadimun. Okay? Khadimun. Okay, alhamdulillah. So I think, inshallah, I'm not going to do the exercises with you here. You know, like I say, our job is just to refresh you with this. Because like I say, if you consult those videos now, and I think the videos or the YouTube videos that that you have, until older, I'll send you it. You'll find that all these exercises will be there. Okay? So yeah, I just want you to note from here, Group A refers to non-persons and Group B refers to persons. Okay, right? And number two, all the nouns are masculine, very, very important. And number three, they are all indefinite as indicated by the Dhamma. Okay? Anyway, inshallah, if we go to page number 6 now, right on number 6, that's just examples, we're not going to go there. So we go further, inshallah. Is there any questions before I go to lesson number 2. So do you, I think just before we conclude, just to summarize there, number 1, we did masculine nouns. Number 2 is important. The masculine noun is, you find it in 2 types. You find it either referring to a person or it refers to a thing. And the identification of it being a person, it must be a male, no problem. But when it refers to a thing, it refers to a certain word that does not have a ta marbuta, because when we're going to come to the feminine, feminine part, you will actually understand it better, inshallah. Okay, and number 3, the third thing that is important in this lesson is that the third thing we find that it is all indefinite. And I ask you the question, why? Why is it all indefinite? Can anybody tell me? Why is it all indefinite?
By virtue of the Dhammatain.
It's all got Dhammatain at the back. Right? Alhamdulillah. Het allemaal die oen achter. Okay? So therefore, just to you know, so these are all just the exercises on that. Can I go to lesson number 2 now? If it's okay with us?
Yes.
Are we all, you know? Don't worry, when I do the class, I do a lesson or lesson and a half per day. Okay, oh, sorry, per evening, you know? So, but this is just now, as I say, you could have read it over already, and, you know, some of you have the videos and that. So when we come to lesson number 2, it is the adjective, right? In Arabic, they call an adjective, they call it sifa. Sifa, you know? Sifat. Also, when was in school or in the madrasa, we used to be taught the sifats of Allah, the 20 sifats, right? So sifa means adjectives. You know, an adjective, as we know, what's an adjective? As we say that as in English, the adjective in Arabic also describes the noun. So the adjective tells you more about the noun. Depending on the noun, the adjective can either be masculine or feminine, definite or indefinite. Very, very important. Okay? So now you already know now what is masculine. You already know now how to pick it up when it's indefinite. Dhammatain, and as we know, it's referring to a male, right? Here are 2 adjectives that are masculine and indefinite, right? Kabirun, okay? Kabirun means big. Kabirun, and saghirun. Saghirun means small. Now, what you can pick up there, number 1, is that kabirun and saghirun, you cannot actually say whether it's masculine or feminine. But like I told you, and I will tell you again, that you find here when it comes to the adjective, you'll find that the only time that you will be able to pick it up to be masculine or feminine, you'll find that there will be a ta marbuta at the back. Okay, and I will explain that in the next lesson. So don't how can I say, don't become carried away or worried about that. The importance is this, that we find here kabirun is like, for example, kabirun means big and saghirun means small. And I think for us to just understand that, the reason for this is that you find that the adjective always qualifies the noun. The important thing that you must note, as we say, it is still on the same format. It will have a Dhammatain at the last letter again. Okay? Dhammatain at the last letter again, as you can see there, kabirun and saghirun. Righto. Both adjectives are indefinite as indicated by the Dhammatain. As with the noun, also the Dhammatain indicates it being indefinite, right? Now we look at the adjectival phrase. You know, an adjectival phrase is obviously when you find that you have a noun with the adjective. And this is very, very important for you to note. We'll see here, as in English, it describes the noun. We say here, for example, waladun saghirun. Waladun saghirun. A small boy. This is very, very important for us to take note of. When we look at waladun saghirun, if you look at the literal meaning now, you have now saw in your first lesson, you read what is waladun, right? Waladun means a boy, right? You all agree with me?
Yeah, a boy.
Walad boy. And if you look at saghirun, it means small.
Small, yeah.
Small, right? So now, but now if you translate that, you say waladun saghirun, you say boy, small. A boy, small. That was not proper English, right? Yeah. So that is important that you must realize the Arab will speak like that. He will say waladun saghirun, but then he means a small boy. Now, obviously, we're doing English here now. When we do the translation, we will have to obviously translate in the proper English language. That's the reason you'll find, but you and I must know that when you find any noun and you have an adjective qualifying the noun, meaning telling you about the noun, the very first thing as you read, because we read Arabic from this side here. So if you read from this side, you'll see, you'll first say the noun and then you say the adjective.
Yeah, you
Okay,
notice it.
you first say the noun. You can't say saghirun waladun,
Yeah.
because if you look at the a small boy means saghirun waladun, but the proper Arabic is waladun saghirun. So you
Saghirun.
first say the noun,
Noun,
and then you say the adjective next to it. Okay, and importantly, waladun has got a un at the back, and saghirun must also have a un at the back.
Yeah.
Right?
Dhammatain.
You can't say waladun saghiru. Khata is wrong. Okay? Because the pattern, so very, very important, the noun and the adjective must agree in gender, number one. So if your noun is masculine, then your adjective must also be masculine. And number two, they must agree in adat. Adat means in number. So it must be waladun, must also be saghirun. Okay? If it is al-waladu, don't worry about that. That is a different format that we'll do. Then that saghiru must also be, on that pattern. So that is important for us to understand that when you do, firstly, I think, before we go to the next page, firstly, you must realize that when you do a noun, we will also find that there's an adjective or a sifa that will qualify the noun, it will tell you about the boy, right? Number two, they must agree in gender. If the boy is masculine, then the adjective telling you about the boy must also be masculine. Okay, so therefore you'll find that you will find masculine formats of words and feminine formats of words. Okay, right on. Now we go to page number 8 for me. Okay, therefore we'll see there the adjective small tells us more about the noun waladun, a boy, right? The noun in Arabic always comes before the adjective. Note that. Always before the adjective. Thus, waladun is written first, then follows the adjective. The adjective must always agree with the noun. When the noun is masculine and indefinite, then the adjective must also be masculine and indefinite. See the un in the back.
Yeah.
So when the noun takes a dommatain, then the adjective must also take a dommatain. Right? The term for a noun in Arabic is called an ism or ismun. However, this term is not used when the noun is described by an adjective, then that term is called its mawsuf. Okay, don't worry about that, We will familiarize ourselves with the terminology. So that is mawsuf. So when the noun is being qualified by an adjective, now you don't say no, you refer to it as the mawsuf, meaning, that is a noun that's actually being qualified by an adjective, right? Some examples, and I think here you must also just play along, meaning you must try and say it with me, as you can, I will say it, and then you can say it together. But importantly, as we can see, this is the proper English way that it must be.
Yeah.
But important for us to understand the Arabic structure. That's important. Can you see Baytun? What is Baytun? Is a house.
Yeah.
Jamilun. See there?
Yeah.
Beautiful. But can you see that we don't say Jamilun Baytun? You see? Baytun Jamilun. And if you look at all these down here, you can see, alhamdulillah, you find the nouns all first. And all the adjectives describing the nouns are next to it. Right? Or let us read it. Baytun Jamilun. See, right? Baytun Jamilun. Next one. Shari'un Tawilun. Meaning a long street. See there? Shari'un Tawilun. Why? Tawilun is long.
Long street.
And then a street is Shari'un. And the reason why we're saying a, because of the Dhamma. Right? Shari'un Tawilun. Darsun Jadidun. A new lesson. Darsun Jadidun. Katibun. Sorry, Kitabun Saghirun, meaning a small book. Kitabun Saghirun. Qalamun Qasirun, meaning a short pen. Qalamun Qasirun. And now as I say, you'll find your own way how to start memorizing this, inshallah. Okay? But like I said, that is every time you'll see there's new words that you're learning on. Then mu'allimun is a new word, dhakiyun. Dhakiyun. Okay? Dhakiyun means a clever teacher. Rajulun sa'idun. There's sa'id, new word, happy. Rajulun sa'idun. Sa'idun means happy. So Rajulun Sa'idun. And then Talibun Tayyibun, meaning Talibun, a student, a good student. Means a good student. Talibun Tayyibun. Okay? So, alhamdulillah. So there we can see that is the format. All that I need us to just take note of. The noun is first, and the explanation of it, or I would say the adjective comes after that. And importantly, they agree in adad, meaning that they both are at the back, right? Lun, dun, mun, yun, you see that? Qalamun, qasirun, saghirun, kitabun, all the same. And number 3, all importantly, they are all masculine, and therefore the masculine, the noun is masculine, and the masculine form of the adjective is also next to it as well. Okay? Like I say, all these words you learn on as you go along, but you also need to just maybe put a little bit of effort from your side, inshallah. Right, so there are the words that we've added here. You'll see here we come. Jamilun, Tawilun, Jadidun, new, Sa'idun, Tayyibun, good, Wasi'un, wide, Qabikhun, ugly, Qasirun, short, Qadimun, old, Hazinun, sad, Dakiyun, clever, and Dayiqun, narrow. Also, what you'll find in your tamarin mean exercises that you'll have to do. Therefore, I'll say what you can do is all these exercises, as you can see here. This is all means and ways that you can actually sort of just strengthen. We call it in Arabic, we call it revision. It's like we would say, you make muraja'ah. Muraja'ah means to make revision. And it's good to go over the revision because you're going to see, as you can see, most of these words here and the letters of it, has all got like signs on harakat, whatever. You're going to find eventually, and if you read an Arabic book, they expect you to know these words, and you'll find therefore that they won't put any harakat, they won't put any harakat on this, they won't put any or u on it. Whether the result, you should, or you will actually, as you make muraja, you will actually start, memorizing all these words. Okay, so inshallah, it's very, very important. As you can also see there, how the way they structured this, they actually tell you beautiful, then they say ugly. See there? So they also taught you opposites here. See there? Opposites. So because there's questions that they might ask you, I don't want to use exam or use the word exam now. Otherwise, I'm going to scare you off. But, exams is also important, like for your own self, So you can do your own little analysis because during the classes, I do bring it up, like for example, Qabikhun, Jamilun. So they might ask you, give the opposite of Tawilun, then it is Qasirun, because short talk. And so you can actually, also try and strengthen. So it is good, like if you have somebody with whom you can, share. You can share. If you're alone, sometimes it becomes difficult, but if you have others that you can share it with, like for example, just listen to me, man, or ask me certain questions, and then you find, that is how you can actually strengthen yourself. Alhamdulillah, here by the end of lesson number 2, you're looking at, so the different tamarin. Tamarin means exercises, and there's all the different questions that you can also try and answer. And like I say, the videos that you do have, or the YouTube videos that you receive, those are all, as I say, all these that I've already done with the class before. Okay. So now we come to lesson number 3. And before we go to lesson number 3, is there any questions so far on lesson number 1 and 2, which now completed the masculine form or the format of the noun itself, and then the masculine form of the mawsuf, meaning the noun with the adjective. Is there any questions to that?
No,
Everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, alhamdulillah. Let us go on to lesson number 3. Obviously, exactly the same as the first one. exactly the same as the first one, but only now we're looking at feminine. And
Yeah.
feminine parts are always very challenging. Not that females are challenging, Kanala, you know. I didn't say that, Kanala, because, you know, so don't say that I said, you know, that if you, but you'll find it's always, you know, you got to be tread very cautiously. You got to know your thing, when it comes to that. But anyway, you know, we see we got Auntie Rhoda here, so you know, so you know. Nonetheless, righto. So when we look at the feminine version of it, obviously you'll see here some challenges here now. But
Yeah.
Kanala, just focus on your basics. That's very, very important. Now we say the feminine noun in Arabic, like the masculine, can refer to either a person and a non-person. We know that now. We understand
Yeah.
what the noun is. But now we're looking at something different. We see here a teacher, and because of feminine, we say mu'allimatun. See there? We said mu'allimun. If you look at this side here on the board that I've got here, can you see mu'allimun? See, I didn't put the signs on here. Mu'allimun. Okay, mu'allimun. Yeah, when we look at it here, for example, we say mu'allimun. That was the one word we learned, you know, on the masculine side, right? A teacher. But now when we say mu'allimatun, so there is a change. It's very, very important that you must observe that. So you can change when you speak with the alim, mu'allimun, you refer to a male teacher, but when you refer to a female teacher, you say mu'allimatun. There's a change. And that is important that I want to note that. Sorry, man, I can't, my device doesn't allow me to put the harakat in here, okay? But if you look at it here, you'll find, let me see if I can do it. Give me 1 minute. Somebody told me the other day, so anyway, no, okay, I'm not gonna bother. Don't worry. If you look at, for example, mu'allimun and mu'allimatun, okay, I'm just referring to that word here. So here we can say mu'allimatun. What is the same here? The meme, ain, the lam, and the meme, right? There's the same. What has been added? Ta marbuta. See there? That last ta there that has been added. So you'll find when you want to make something from, or to change something from masculine into feminine, you'll have to add the ta marbuta there. You'll have to add it there, right? You have to make it. Now some words, Kanala, and I catch my students all the time. Every word, you know, sometimes if the word in itself is of feminine origin or masculine origin, then mainly feminine origin now, then you don't put the ta on there. But in most cases, you find that because you find, for example, that certain sexes, meaning males or females, they can do the same thing. You can, for example, find servants who are males, but you find servants who are females. You find nurses who are males, and you find nurses who are females. You find here teachers that are males, and you find teachers that are females. So therefore, what happened here, we say mu'allimatun, right? And the ta here now takes the un. And very, very important, when you put the un at the back, and because you're referring to a teacher, the last letter, Kanala, as we had done before, you'll find your last letter will always have a tanween. Always. Now this mu'allimun, remember that they had the un there. But now what happens is that you can't have mu'allima. Yeah, Yusuf. You can't have mu'allimatun. You can't have you see what you have, you can't have a un and a un. So what happens is, and this is what happens, and this is a general rule. I just want Yusuf to put the a on there for me, you know, on the meme. So when you look at at mu'allimun, becomes mu'allimatun there. See, you put the a there. What's going to happen is you'll find that whenever you add the ta marbuta, always, just have a look at it, you know. Always you find when you have a ta marbuta on, you add it on there, then that meme, that last letter that was a un, takes a a. It won't be mu'allimitun, it will always be mu'allimatun. Here you have the next word, talibun, and the feminine is talibatun. See that ba takes a a. See there, mu'allimun, and it becomes mu'allimatun. So that un changes to a when you add the ta marbuta on there. Is everybody clear on that one?
Yeah.
Aywa. So therefore, any word then, therefore, to make it feminine, the last letter of it will then change, or will take a a sound, will take a fatha, but then you add the ta marbuta on there, right? Muallimatun. Here the word talibun. Talibun means a student, but you want to say a female student, say talibatun. Remember, muallimatun, talibatun. So the same here we have ibnun will become ibanatun. Everybody with me? Ibnatun. So that second last one, the one where before you add the tamarbuta, the tamarbuta takes the will always take the but then in turn you will put the on top there, fatha. And the last one we did this with tilmidhun, right? Tilmidhun we did. And if you want to say it's a male or a masculine pupil, tilmi, what does the dal take? Anybody? What does the dal take?
It takes a
Tilmidhatun.
Tilmi.
Yeah, ibanun will be
Natun.
Ibanatun, right? Talibun will become
Matun.
Batun. Muallimun will become
Matun.
Matun.
Can we see now? So when you add a tamar buta, that that last letter will always take a okay? So alhamdulillah, I'm happy we understand that. So that is important for us, because we're going to find what we say. But I would like to tell us that we find that we're going to have to change a lot over from masculine into feminine, inshallah. So here we look at a school is mudarrisun. I mean, madrasatun. But we can't say, now this is important, everything hasn't got a feminine form. There can't be a female school. It can be a school for females, but not the school is not masculine or feminine. So therefore, madrasatun will always be, a school will always be madrasatun. You can't say a madrasun. There's not a madrasun, there's not a male school, maybe a school for males, but not, the word will still be madrasatun. So certain words in its origin is female, madrasatun. Right? Are we with me?
Yeah.
Right. So the first noun, muallimatun, teacher, refers to a person, and the second one, madrasatun, refers to a non-person. Both nouns are feminine and indefinite that we did. Okay? A noun can be considered feminine if, therefore, it's important. It is feminine by meaning, example, bintun. A girl is bintun. See? Now we say ibnun, it's a son. So a daughter is ibnatun. But the girl, you say a boy is waladun and a girl is
Bintun.
See there? Bintun. It takes a tamar buta, sometimes, like for example, daughter is, as I used here, ibnun becomes ibnatun. See there? So therefore in Arabic, what they do is they change, they make specific when it comes to a girl, and they make specific when it comes to a daughter. Okay?
Ibanatun. Okay.
Ibnatun, right? So now we go further on that. Here we are. Okay, examples are a new vocabulary. Here we're getting familiar now with females, that these are all persons and these are all things. And now we can see we're getting more challenging. Umun, umun is a mother, right? So therefore, if you say ummi, people say ummi. Ummi is not a mother. Ummi means my mother. You see? But that is something we're going to learn on later on, because you add a ya on there. Okay? So ummi means my mother. Ummi, you draw, you prolong that last mim. You see? But here, if you say a mother, it's umun. Umun. I know. A sister is ukhtun. What was a brother again, if you can remember? Can anybody remember what was a brother? Akhun, right? But when we say ukhtun, see, they put the ta on there at the bit. You see? Right? A student, talibatun. See there? Talibatun. See there, as I mentioned, and it's explained to us the and the un. Talibatun. A headmistress, or like we in our case, we don't use that word, but the Americans use it more, like for example, we say principal, But the headmaster or headmistress or headmaster, or here in this case, as a headmistress, is called mudiratun. Right? Mudiratun. But because when you're going to find, you will find, for example, that we're going to deal with a
Mutiratun. Mutiratun, headmistress. Mutiratun.
Okay, right. Can we see? I'm just making some example here. If you see there the word mudiratun, right? Mudiratun, right?
Mutiratun.
Mudiratun is a headmistress.
Headmistress.
But now, if we are told to give us the masculine form of a headmistress, then here in this case you would say mudiratun, which means the ta falls away. You know, the ta falls away, and therefore it becomes mudirun. Okay, it's just the opposite of what I did in the previous one, right?
Yeah,
Because
Mudirun.
remember, obviously, here we will put the ta marbuta on, for example. If we put that there, then it becomes mudiratun, right? But if you want to make it masculine, so you will have to then remove the tun. Okay, that's just so, by the way, inshallah, just to give us an indication. So
Mudirun.
when you want to make from masculine into feminine, you know, then you must add the ta marbuta, and in turn, when you want to make from feminine into masculine, you remove the ta marbuta. If it is a certain word that, you know, where there's a ta marbuta, bringing about the difference. Okay, there you have the word maktabatun is a library. Maktabatun, there's not a, you don't get a masculine or feminine library. So a maktabatun will always be a library. And then here's something else, a rubber, you know, an eraser, a rubber, mim sahatun. See, mim sahatun, right? Then you have another word, a chalkboard is called saburatun, saburatun. These are all words which is feminine in its origin. Okay, so you find these you can't change into masculine. It's only like, for example, headmistress and student, and you know, like names of persons. But when it comes to things will always stay masculine. Sorry, things will stay masculine and stay feminine. But when it comes to persons, then you change. Then you can only change by the ta marbuta. Okay, remember that importantly. But when it things will always be either masculine or either feminine. Therefore, saburatun is a blackboard or chalkboard, will always be feminine. Why? Now, why do we say it's feminine? Because of that ta marbuta at the back, right? Then nafidatun. Nafidatun is a window. See there? Nafidatun, it's feminine. Why? Ta marbuta always. A car, so therefore you must look beautiful. You must nurture your car and look nicely after it, because it's called a sayyaratun, meaning it is feminine. Okay? So a car is also feminine, you know, whichever you're looking at it. So you must look after it well, you know, because it's feminine. Sayyaratun, sayyaratun, okay? And then ibnatun, see there, daughter, ibnun, see? So when it comes to persons, it can change from masculine to feminine by adding the ta marbuta. But when it comes to a thing, then you can't change it, okay? So there, ibnatun is a daughter, and what is a son? Can anybody tell me? Is a son?
Ibnu.
Ibnun, mashallah. Ibnun, right? And ibnatun is a female, right? A table, min dodatun. See there? Min dodatun. But then you also have ma'idatun. Ma'idatun is also a table, you know, in Surah Ma'idah, means the table. You know, this refers to a different type of table. Okay? The table, the ma'idatun, that's mentioned in Surah 5 in the Holy Quran. You know, that makes a reference to the Last Supper. You know, this was a long, also say, a long tafel wat so uitgelê is. Hy's 'n ma'idatun. But when you look at this table, the min dadatun, it's a smaller version, it's a smaller little table. Okay? And then the last word also here that we're referring to, mistaratun. Mistaratun is a ruler.
A ruler. Mistaratun.
A ruler, yeah. A ruler, chalkboard, a rubber. These are all things, you know, that to do with schooling. So we find those also. Inshallah, there's another set of words that we can maybe go over, inshallah, and you know, just to familiarize ourselves with. Alhamdulillah. Here you have all the exercises. I think here's something that you can look at. Number 3. You know, I can't do injustice. I did number 3 with the other class. I must help you here also. See there, give the feminine gender of the following nouns. See there, what's in abun? Abun? A father, right? So, what's the feminine form of a father?
Mother.
And what do you say? How do you call a mother?
Ummun.
Umun, right?
Yeah.
Right? Fine, don't worry. Then, here's a challenge. Mudirun. Mudirun.
Mudiratun. Mudiratun.
MashaAllah.
Mudiratun.
The headmaster, and the feminine form of it is Mudiratun, as we have on top. Waladun
Waladun is a boy.
is a
Bintun.
boy. So a girl.
Bintun.
Bintun, mashallah. Mishun. You know, I must say this class is sharp because the other class, Asma asked Roshan there, what the other class said was, they said, Waladatun. Waladatun. It's actually Bintun, excellent. Well done there, well done. Then the next one, Ibnun. Ibnun.
Ibanatun.
Ibnatun.
Ibanatun.
Daughter.
Talibun. Talibun.
Talibatun.
Talibatun. Beautiful. Right, alhamdulillah. Then obviously there can you see they tell you to vocalize that you must, you know, and you see that is how you will find it in reading books. See there? Like that. So you've got to actually try and know the words, you know. But inshallah it will come with effort. So inshallah, and you, I always say that each and everyone have their own way of memorizing and, you know, studying. Some people used to study parrot fashion, others maybe yellow book 8, you know. But at the end of the day, when you look at it, you will find your own way to find it around. But as I say, what we will do is we will just maybe try and make it or assist you in your methods, inshallah. Then the next session, lesson number 4,
Adjective.
the adjectival phrase, as we had with lesson number 2, we're now looking at the feminine phrase, right? A phrase was, we have a noun. You want to ask something, Irfan? Oh, no.
Shukran. No, that's fine.
When we look at the you know, when we did the male one, the male phrases, we said like we have we will call it the mawsuf. Remember, we said the noun with the adjective, right? The noun with the adjective. So here we're looking at, obviously we see here, there's the first one, mudhakkar, meaning masculine and feminine. If you see here, and this is how important, they say, rajulun dhakiyun, right? Rajulun means a man, and dhakiyun is clever, but obviously we would say a clever man, right?
Man, yeah.
In proper English, right? But now, if you must do it, if you must translate it over into English, you would say, tilmidhatun. Very, very important. What dhakiyun is, it means clever, because of, and this is where our lesson comes in, that you find, as I mentioned, that if the noun is feminine, then the adjective must also be feminine. So you change it over into feminine. You can see that? So the kiyun becomes the kiyatun, exactly the same format. Remember where we did with the noun, where we put the ta, we add the ta marbuta, and that becomes a un, and then the letter before. Can you see? So the kiyun, see the yun becomes a ah, the kiyatun. See that? The kiyatun. Are you with me? So exactly as we find, you cannot say tilmidatun dhakiyun. Khata. It's wrong. Why? Because the adjective is masculine also. You know, so you're giving a masculine adjective, but you get to give a female noun. You know, that is incorrect. So if the noun is masculine, then the adjective must also be masculine. If the noun is feminine, the adjective must also be feminine. Okay? So that's very, very important. And as you can see, when you change the adjectives over into feminineness or into become feminine, you just add the ta marbuta. But remember, as I mentioned, the last letter, the ya, this you here, it changed to. Okay? Because you can also see it doesn't sound right. You can't say the ki yitun. No, it doesn't sound right. Must be the ki yatun. Yeah, you can also look at the word. Shari'un is a street. Dayiqun. Dayiqun means wide. So obviously you say, I mean narrow, you say shari'un. Dayiqun, obviously shari'un is masculine. But you don't get a female street. It can maybe be a street with a female name. But you can't, you know, it is not a female street. So therefore, we use an item which is a feminine, which is ghurfa. Ghurfatun is a room. Why? Now you don't say why. Don't say like wide or wasi'un, but because of ghurfatun, this now must also become feminine. Wasi.
Iatun.
See, wasi'un we did. Remember we did wasi'un means wide, but now if you say that the room is wide, and because a room ghurfatun is feminine, therefore your adjective describing ghurfatun must also be feminine. Therefore you say ghurfatun, inshallah. Okay, now we can just go through the format. As I say, we already did it before in the above examples. Notice that each adjectival phrase is grouped either in the masculine or in the feminine gender. Examples number 1 shows the noun tilmidun, a pupil is feminine, is feminine, and the adjective zakiyatun, clever, which describes it also. Then example number 2, the noun rajulun is masculine, and also the adjective is masculine, meaning zakiyun, right? In the examples 1 and 3, the nouns with a ta marbuta, therefore the objects also end with ta marbuta. You know, I think those were all things that we discussed. Therefore, we say 1 and 3 are feminine. Adjectival phrases, it's a phrase, you know. A clever, why do we say it's a phrase? You see, a phrase is something, it's not a complete sentence. You say a clever man, what about a clever man? You know, it's not a sentence, everyone says a phrase. But you'll see later on when we do a sentence, and we see it must make sense to you. It must be a complete sentence, okay? Can be two or three letters, but it must give you a complete story. But if I say to you, Rajulun Zakiyun, or I say to you, a clever man, that is regarded as a phrase because it is not actually part of a sentence, okay? Or doesn't formulate a sentence. Right, and now come to number 15. Here we are. There's some beautiful examples as we can go through. Examples of the, the feminine or the feminine noun with an adjective. If we say there, tilmidun, here you come to a beautiful word, tilmidun mumtazatun. See there?
Yeah.
Tilmidun mumtazatun. I'm going to see who's awake here, who's still awake, because, we've been on for almost an hour. If I now say to you, change that to me, or for me, into a masculine format. So what, there obviously you see that is a female excellent student, Mumtaz. You heard the word Mumtazun? So if you have a person with a name, you have a daughter, or a wife with the name Mumtazun, it's actually spelled like that, Mumtazatun. You'll see female names always end with marbuta at the back. And obviously, when we look at that, my female's name doesn't always, but if you add there, they'll be called Mumtazatun. It means excellent, okay? So sometimes, people say, if somebody did something well, say excellent, you say Mumtazun, or Mumtazatun, or Mumtazun, Okay, so if you must not change that, that is there obviously a feminine format, right? Tilmidatun, Mumtazatun. How will you change that into masculine? Anybody?
Tilmizatun.
Tilmidun mumtazun.
Tilmidun mumtazun. Excellent, beautiful. Can you see what Irfan did there was? He took that ta marbuta away and he put the dhun on the dhal, right? Yeah, as you can see. He took the tas away, right? Ta marbutas away, right? And then he put the un there, because you must remember, a or an, obviously that was not proper English, but because it's indefinite, it must always end with a ta marbuta. Always, okay? That's very, very, very important for us. Right on. Then the second one, Ibnatun Anisatun. See there? A friendly daughter. If you must change that into masculine, how would you change that?
Ibnatun Anisa.
Just follow what Irfan did there. Ibnatun till Anisatun. See there? Anisatun means friendly.
Anisa. Ibnatun.
Okay.
Anisa.
Anisun.
Okay, now go for it.
Anisun.
Right on, I'll say the old phrase.
Ibnun Anisun.
Ibnun Anisun.
Ibnun Anisun.
Ibnun Anisun. Next one. Take note. Ummun Nashitatun. Nashitatun means umun nashitatun. How will that change into masculine?
Abun nashitun.
Apita.
Abun.
Abun nashitun.
Nashitun.
Right. Abun nashitun. Next one, a polite sister, ukhtun muhadhabatun.
What's it?
Akhun
Akhun.
muhadabun.
Akhun muhadhabun. Beautiful. Nafidatun nadhifatun.
Nafidun.
Nafidatun nadhifatun. Change that into masculine for me.
Nafidun nadifun.
Nafi.
I knew I was going to
Nadifun.
catch you. I knew I was going to catch you.
Nafida. Oh, Nafida's a Windex basketball. Feminine.
I'm just going
That
to check
is-
my window here quickly to see what's masculine or
That's
feminine.
right. You got that, yeah.
Well done.
Okay, right. Remember the statement I made. I said that when it comes to things, you will always find either being masculine or
Nafidatun.
feminine. Only when it comes to persons doing something. Okay? Person. Kharitatun mufidun, that's a useful map. Mufidun, you heard
the
it
same.
called al-mufida. No?
Hmm.
Al-mufida.
Al-mufida.
Mufidun. Al-mufida, that is most a useful book. Okay? And this is kharitatun, means useful. So the word useful means mufidun or mufidatun. If you're going to use, obviously, if you're going to make it masculine, you see all the adjectives, remember, importantly, all the adjectives you are able to change into feminine or masculine. You just throw the marbuta away. But when it comes to things, then you must just take note.
Stays like
They
that.
can't become masculine. Because therefore, if you look at mufidun or mufidatun, meaning useful, you can say a man is also useful. You say rajulun mufidun. You see, like you did with the or where you take the marbuta away. Okay. Here we have Madinatun Kabiratun is a big city.
That stays
Now
the
the
same.
word Medina means a city. Therefore, you refer to the city of
City of
Medina,
Medina.
Madinatul Munawwara. The Madinatul Munawwarati, meaning the city of illumination or the city of light, whatever the case may be. See, but Madinatun, therefore you write, you spell Madinatun like that. But Madinatu actually means a city. So if you say I'm going to Medina, therefore you'll see the Arab will always refer, like we still speak, here the Cape Townians, we speak to, we're going to Medina, meaning we're going to the city. Then they say, but it means, they will always say Madinatul Munawwaratu,
Munawwara.
or they would say Makkatul Mukarramatu. Okay? They will always see. So that is the reason why these cities has got that special, adjective added to it. Okay? And then the last one, Qaryatun Saghiratun. Qarya is a village, you see. Qaryatun Saghiratun, inshallah. So, alhamdulillah, here you have a whole list of words here, inshallah, that you can actually go through. Nafidatun, Madinatun, see there? Industrious. Mujtahidun. Industrious means to be hardworking, Mujtahidatun. Mujtahidun, Mujtahidatun. Mujtahidun, see there? Mujtahidun, that's for masculine. So if you want to make that feminine, it will become Mujtahidatun. Remember, that is always, your challenge that you must look at, okay? Polite is muhadhabun. We said, we got to get muhadhabatun, really, because it was feminine. Mufidun, mumtazun, anisatun, nashitun, nadhifun, and ghurfatun. Okay? Is there any questions before we go to the next one, inshallah? Any questions?
No, Imam.
Okay, no, right. Here's number 5. Must I do number 5 with us as well? The class is actually by number 7. If you got time, we are now on our time here at 8:05. So it's an hour now. Do you want me to carry on with that, or would you be able to find your way now, to join the class on Tuesday?
Yes, I would be able to join the class on Tuesday.
Everybody else, do you want me to do this with us? Because I'm just going to run through the Hada quickly for you. Has everybody got time? That's important.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we got time.
I've
Okay,
got
so
about
let's
10 minutes,
run
Imam.
through this. I'm going to do number 5 and 6 for us. This is very, very quick. This is very quick. Inshallah,
Okay.
then we are up to, so when we join on Tuesday night, inshallah, don't forget from 8 till 9, then, you form with the whole class. Obviously, then the class is bigger, but like I say, you feature there also. You just, do what you're doing now, and you will also feel in place, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, fine. Now we're looking at the demonstrative pronoun. Like I say, these are very, very, big words that we shouldn't really bother us about much. The more, I say, the more familiar we become with the lessons, you obviously will find, that will make sense to you as you go along. Then you want to say, oh yes, what do you call the Arabic word for that again, But don't worry about memorizing the Arabic words for that, as long as you just know the format of the actual word. Now we see here, you will always find, and never ever will you get away from it, you will have the two formats that you'll find in Arabic, mudhakkar and mu'annath. As we know, mudhakkar means masculine and mu'annath means feminine. Those are the two, the two genders that you will always find. They call it in Arabic, jins. Jins mean genders. Will always be, on those two genders. Okay, right on. Here we can see we're adding a word here, and please, I want you to also please take note of this. The demonstrative pronoun, meaning a pronoun is something that takes the place of something, right? Instead of now saying the whole noun again, then you just say, then we just use the pronoun. We're going to see in Arabic, they call it damir or whatever. They have lots of pronouns that they use, like hu, ha, we're going to come to that, huma, tahki, etc., etc. Those all comes in pronouns, meaning referring to persons, etc., etc. So here we're starting off with the type of pronoun. But remember, you're going to still see the very same formats that we have done before. If we look at this one, for example, the demonstrative pronouns like this or that, these and those refers to nouns. In this lesson, we will confine ourselves to hada and hadihi only. Okay? Hada and hadi, which means we will only do, we call it in Arabic the mufrad. Mufrad means we'll only do the singular. We're not going to do, because when we come later to plurals, that's later in the book, you'll find, where you're going to use words like ulaika and haula, don't worry about that. But here at the moment, we're just referring to singular, to one person, okay? One person all the time. So we see here, for mudhakkar, we would say, hadha waladun, waladun. And waladun is a boy, right? But here we say hadha, see, hadha waladun, and next to it you have hadihi bintun. See, so hadha is one format and hadihi. And if you look at the explanation, you now know that waladun is a boy and you know that bintun is a girl. You can obviously pick it up if you look at it, you see. So when you use for masculine, you use hadha. Hada. And when you look at feminine, you use hadihi. Can you see? There we already got the lesson. Important for you to realize what's the meaning of hada. Now, this is important. Please take note. And as I mentioned to us, as we go through the lessons, we find that when you translate from one language into another language, you will translate in the proper format of that language. Are you with me? Okay. So if you're going to say, for example, if you're going to translate something from Arabic into English, then you will translate it from Arabic into proper English. So that is important. So it might affect the way you're going to say it. For example, as I used the example, there were the phrases we did. We said, waladun kabirun. It might read in your and my direct explanation or translation as waladun kabirun, boy big. But when you read it over in English, you will obviously now refer to it as the big boy. So you'll say the adjective first, but in actual fact, because that is the reason for the proper English. But the Arabic formation is important for us to understand that the noun comes first and the adjective second. Here we look at hada, the hada waladun, meaning this. Now it's important that you're going to ask me Imam, what is the meaning of hada? The meaning of hada is only this. But now you say, yeah, but there's an ease in there. You see there? There's ease in there in the translation. The reason why ease is in there is to make it proper English. You see? Proper English. You can't say, because if you're going to translate it, hada, please note, hada does not mean this is. It only means this.
Yes.
Okay? But we put in ease to make it into proper English. Right? Therefore, we say, hada waladun, this is. So if you look at the Arabic, hada waladun, it means this is a boy. Because waladun is a boy. You know that by now, and I don't need to remind you, because you know that when it says a tanween at the back, on the last letter, the it means a boy. So if you're going to now want to translate that directly, you would say, hada waladun, you say, this a boy. That's not proper English. You agree with me? That's not proper English. You say, this a boy. Therefore, you add ease in there. So, kanala, muni verstani, or don't accept, or don't think that hada means this is me. Okay? Hada means this, and waladun means a boy. So, it will always be hada waladun, this is a boy. Right? And therefore, you say, hadihi bintun. Hadihi bintun. So,
This is a-
hadihi means this is a girl. See there? So hada means this is or this is. Okay? So inshallah, are we all with me on that one? Everybody on there? Okay, fine. Very, very important. Just remember. But your bintun, or we would say your format of the sentence is as follows: that when you have it feminine, when you have a feminine noun, then your pronoun that you're going to use is feminine. And hadihi is the feminine form of hada. So that's already our lesson. And important, as I say, just for you to remember that is does not mean hada. Hada means this only. Okay? So this is a boy. This a boy, but if you translate it, it becomes with this is, and you add is in there. Okay? Everybody with me? Any questions? Right. So therefore we say example. The first example, waladun, refers to the masculine noun. And the second example, bintun, refers to a feminine noun. But the demonstrative pronouns not only refers to persons, but also to things, as we therefore look at kitabun, is masculine. So you'll say hada kitabun. And qalamun is also masculine, but hada qalamun. Why do I say hada? Because hada refers to masculine things, and hadi refers to feminine things, right? Because you are now familiar to be able to judge what is masculine and what is feminine, right? Okay, you must stop me if I'm going a bit too fast, because the class is very fast for me, so, I don't hear any questions or whatever, so I assume, I assume, this is just the advantage of this is great, the platform is good to work on from, but you cannot judge from the students' expression, yes or no, whether they follow or whatever. But inshallah, therefore I say you can also contact me, offline if you want to, just to just make sure again there, Then if we look at the number 4, and this is very, very important. Remember, we've been dealing with phrases all the time. Waladun kabirun is a phrase, not a sentence. But this now becomes a sentence. Note that both examples above are sentences. You agree with me?
Yeah.
They are both sentences. Why? Because if you look at it, this is a boy. That's a sentence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a simple sentence, but it's a sentence. Why? Because it's got it tells you that this is a boy. It means whereas if I say to you, waladun kabirun mean a big boy, that's not a sentence, you see? So this now becomes a complete sentence. Hada waladun. And so you can practice now. You look at your house and say, Hada baytun. Look at the pen, you say, Hada qalamun. And so you can practice, Then you show something feminine, look at your car, you say, Hada sayyaratun. Then you say, oh, wrong. Why? Because sayyaratun is a feminine. Female. So you say, Hadihi sayyaratun. So here we have some examples that you can follow on, inshallah. Here we go. Hada, the use of hada, see there? Hada faslun. There's a new word. Hada faslun. This is a classroom, right? Hada faslun. Why do we say a classroom? Obviously, as you know, the tanween at the back, right? Next one, we go further, right? Oh, next one there, we go further, we say, Hada daftarun, a notebook. Now, it's important, as I mentioned to us earlier, can you see the next one? There's Hada, yeah, Hada kitabun, Hada kitabun. Now, book. Now, you see now, therefore in Arabic, you know, they refer to specific things. When you look at when he uses the word kitabun, then he refers to a book that you can read. You see? So in a book that you can read is a kitab, or kitabun. But a book that you, for example, write in, you call a notebook. See there? So therefore they use daftarun differently to kitabun. You know, and that is the beauty, as I always refer to us, of the Arabic language. You know, when you use a certain Arabic word, then they give a specific reference to something. But importantly for you all to realize that all these words, you say, hada qalamun, hada maktabun. See, maktabun is a desk. And all these words take hada. Why does it take hada? Anybody?
Masculine.
Masculine.
Because it's masculine.
Because it's masculine.
See there? Great. And now the use of hadihi ibnatun.
Feminine.
See? Hadihi ibnatun.
Feminine.
And then hadihi ukhtun. See? Hadihi ukhtun. So if I tell you, change that first one there for me into masculine.
Hada ibnun.
Hada ibnun. Right? Hada ibnun. Why? Because masculine, excellent, and ibnun, the masculine form of ibnatun is ibnun. The ta falls away. Right? Next one. Right on. Then we go. This is a sister. Hadihi ukhtun. For masculine becomes?
هذا أخ.
Hada akhun. Beautiful. Beautiful. Right on. And then hadihi kharitatun. Right on. Hadihi kharitatun. This is a map. Okay? And then obviously the masculine form of that would be?
Don't get us now.
لا هي نقطة دي رودا لا هي نقطة هي ضايع على غسكة مغلى غسيرة على خريطة أيوة okay fine I know so can you make a training with this next one this is a library هذه مكتبة هذه مكتبة
Stay the same.
maaf
Stay
The
the
same?
same, yeah.
this is a
Masculine. Feminine.
Feminine. It means
anybody say anything
Feminine.
feminine yeah and then yeah هذه سبورة هذه سبورة means this is a chalkboard okay? And these are all feminine. Now we're just going a little bit further. We're going a little bit further. The noun can also take an adjective which agrees with the demonstrative pronoun in gender as shown in the examples below. See here. Now we can see, now we go a little bit further. Remember, these are all nouns, right? These are all names of things, right? Names of things. Daftarun, kitabun, what. But now we're going to see, we're going to add the adjective on there. Right now? But important for you to realize, you must not lose track of the format of the phrase itself. Because remember, we've learned earlier on. Number one, I just want to recap. The phrase, if the noun is masculine, then the adjective is also masculine. Remember?
Yeah.
So therefore, if the noun is feminine, the phrase is also feminine. Number two, importantly, that when we call it the mawsuf, remember. So when you have a noun that's qualified by an adjective, remember the format of that is still the same, where you find first the noun and then the adjective after the noun. Remember that. And number two or number three, the noun and its adjective must agree in gender. If the noun is masculine, then the adjective must also be masculine. If you have that, then hada, hadihi, that is no problem. Why? Because you will just add hada for masculine and you will add hadihi for feminine. You see there? So you are able to read this here, inshallah, as we see there. If you say this is a useful lesson, see in a complete sentence, hada, right, for masculine, darsun, right? The dars is a lesson and it's masculine. Hada darsun mufidun. So it must be هذا درس مفيد, because the noun is masculine, so therefore your adjective is also masculine, and it takes هذا, reason being because هذا is for masculine. The next one, هذه جامعة كبيرة. See there? هذه, why جامعة? جامعة is a university, it's feminine. Why feminine? تا مربوطة. So therefore كبير must also become كبيرة. Why? Because the جامعة, the noun is masculine, sorry, feminine. So therefore the adjective is also feminine. You know, there we have it. So the next one, هذه سيارة جميلة. See there? هذه سيارة جميلة. See there? Next one, هذه ساعة جديدة. A new watch. هذه ساعة. So what is a ساعة? هذه ساعة, and therefore the adjective جديدة takes a feminine form. And then a tall pupil, هذا تلميذ طويل. Can anybody translate that for me into English? هذا تلميذ طويل.
Is it all pupil?
Right? So how will you say it in how will you translate it into feminine?
هذه
هذه تلميذة طويلة.
هذه تلميذة
طويلة.
Beautiful. Unbelievable. Right. Almost there, no? Almost there. So note the adjective that follows the masculine noun and the demonstrative does not take marbuta as because it's masculine, right? The adjective in the last three examples above follow the feminine gender, and therefore they take the marbuta. Okay, so there you have new words: kharitatun, a map; daftarun, a notebook; sa'atun, a watch; jami'atun, a university; hadiyah is a new word we're learning. Hadiyatun is a gift. Hadiyatun is feminine. Hadiyatun, haqibatun, they a bag. This is a haqiba is more like a satchel, you know, like a
School
satchel
bag.
for your school bags or whatever.
Yeah.
Haqibatun, darajatun, bicycle, the cyclist, no? Hadi darajatun is a bicycle. Faslun is a classroom. Hafilatun is a bus. And humble is mutawadi'un. You know? Mutawadi'un. If you want to make that feminine, it will become mutawadi'un. Okay? So inshallah, so there you have your examples on that. And I'm just going to do the last one, then we can conclude, inshallah. That is lesson number. Is there any questions with Hada and Adi? Any questions with that? You do understand the one for masculine and the one for feminine? Inshallah. Right. Then we come to this is exactly the same as the other one. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Here we see this lesson, we will study the use of tilka and dhalika, which means that they will say, you see exactly the same. You see, like for this is hada, and that, see there, that is dhalika. For hada, you use this. So this right over, and that is something else, you know. So that is when you show, you point to something that is not, you know. So therefore, there we can see that there's the difference between the two. Dhalika is for masculine, and tilka is for females. Hada is for masculine, and hadi is for feminine. So here you have exactly the same structure. Okay? Dhalika tabibun, and tilka mumarradatun. Okay, that mumarradatun means a female nurse. You know, at first, you know, I think this time when the book, or at the time the book was written, we never used to have male nurses. But now you see, you find male nurses also. So therefore, and there is a reference to a male nurse. It will call the male nurse will be a mumarradun. See, and for a female is mumarradatun. You know, mumarradatun, but obviously then it will become dhalika. Dhalika mumarradun. And there, that is dhalika tabibun, you know, a doctor. Right on. In the first example, dhalika used for masculine, and the second example, tilka is used for feminine. The demonstrative pronouns refer not only to persons, but also to objects. You know, faslun, a classroom, and ta'iratun means an aeroplane. Okay, ta'iratun is an aeroplane. Both examples above are complete sentences. Exactly, can you see exactly as we did it in lesson number 5? And note that the nouns which follows the demonstrative pronouns are indefinite as indicated by the dommatain. Remember the dommatain. So you must please, you know, this is important. We went a bit fast, but you must take note that the dommatain will always indicate indefiniteness, you know. And remember, if the noun is indefinite, then the adjective is also indefinite, right? Here are some examples. See there, dhalika kitabun, dhalika tilmidun. Okay, dhalika darsun, dhalika kitabun, dhalika tajirun. See there, there's a new word we're learning. Tarijun karimun. Tajir, a merchant. Obviously, we're here referring to a business merchant, you know, very other merchant, business merchant. Business. A tajir is a businessman, a person who buys and sells, you know, that's a tajir. Anyway, you know, the merchant, what Osman mentioned, you know, it's a tajirun and dikan. Okay, right on. The word karimun, noble, you know, noble, or, you know, it's referred to nobleness, okay, as quality of a person. Tilka is used for feminine. See, safinatun. Safinatun is a ship. Tilka safinatun. And then here, tilka tabakhatun, that's a cook. But now because we have male chefs now also, so how would you say that is a male cook?
Dhalika tabahun.
Dhalika tabahun.
Tabahun.
Okay, remember, because the masculine form of tilka is dhalika. Right? That is a new bed. Tilka haqibatun jadidatun. Right? And here, obedient servant. Here's another one for us. Tilka khadimatun muti'atun. Muti'a means to be obedient. How would you say, you know, this is a obedient or an obedient male servant?
Zalika
Khadimun
muti'un.
Again?
Zalika
Dhalika khadimun muti'un.
Yeah. Prolong the kha, but no, kha alif mus.
Yeah.
Kha, yeah. Tilka khadimun. Tilka khadimun muti'un. Beautiful. And the last one here, this is a big aeroplane. Tilka ta'iratun kabiratun. Okay? And these are all the words that we're learning on here. Safinatun, ta'iratun, karimun, muti'un, mashhurun. There's a new word we're learning. Mashhurun. You know, a famous person, mashhurun. And if you refer to a feminine, you know, a famous feminine person, will become mashhuratun. Right? Mashhur. Remember, and I think I will conclude with that, inshallah. You will always find that adjectives you can change from masculine to feminine, right? Where you add the tamarbuta, and also to add the tamarbuta, if you want to make it feminine, you can only change objects. Objects you can change from masculine to feminine. When you change, say, persons, you know, then you might find a different word. Okay, you might find a different word. But when it comes to objects, you are able to change it over like that, inshallah. I think, yeah, that is, let me see, what is this? Okay, fine, inshallah. This is where we're going to stop. On Tuesday night, inshallah, we will be starting with this lesson. So, inshallah, I will conclude with that, inshallah. I hope I didn't take too much of our time. I did so. I went a half an hour over. Listen, Maaf Yusuf for the extra time, but I said we're only going to do 4 lessons. But alhamdulillah, the class was quite, you know, they participated well, and so inshallah, if I can't actually see everybody on the class here, I just need to see who's all on the class here that I can maybe, you know, how many are we on the class now, Yusuf?
We total of 10, I don't know, Imam.
Allah Akbar.
Well, is everyone included?
Just need to, I can close down this here now, don't save. Just need to see who's all. Just need to see all the students in the class that I can maybe. Okay. Righto. So, inshallah, everybody just that's on the class now, I hope that, when the individuals joined, man, I don't know at what time they all joined, but if there's anybody, firstly, I hope everybody is connected with the Arabic chat group. If not, can you maybe just, confirm so that we can add you to the group, to the group. I don't know. I know Auntie Rolda, I'm gonna add now. Is there anybody else that's part of the Arabic group? Because the reason why I'm asking is that we do all our correspondence to them. We would like on the chat group, and as I would just like to ask us also, please, Kanala, if you don't mind, we're using the Arabic chat just for sharing notifications and that with regards to the Arabic class. Please, man, we don't just request no Juma Mubarak messages, stuff like that, man, because as soon as we're going to leave, we're going to start that, and then, because at least, alhamdulillah, the chat, we can always easily just do it, so we will, if there's anything you require on it, by the class, and you want to go on the chat, no problem. But it's just when it comes to other stuff unrelated to the Arabic class, you would maybe just ask if you would please oblige not to maybe, to just maybe use that inshallah. Inshallah. So other than that, what the normal format is, inshallah, Tuesday evening you find the Yusuf will update us, Yusuf will update us on the chat group with regards to the Zoom link,
Yeah, sure.
Assalamu alaikum. The Ziyad, I see a Ziyad on his, the Ziyad Fry. Assalamu alaikum. The Ziyad. How's the Ziyad? Are you doing all right? Yusuf, can you who's on the list? It's Yazid, it's Irfan, it's iPhone Mariam, and who else?
iPhone Mariam.
Did you speak to me now?
Yusuf?
Did you speak to me now?
Yes, Yusuf. I just want to find out who's 10 people, man, because I...
Salih, Ziyad.
Oh, Salih is was now class in the week, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yes,
Welcome, Salih. And who else is it? And then...
Ziyad. Yazid,
Ziyad.
Roshan, Rolda. That's not Nabawiya.
Hanif.
Yes. I'm using my daughter's laptop. Yes.
Hanif, yeah. Yeah, no, but we had a quite bad, yeah, mashallah.
Yeah.
And who else? Is that it, Yusuf?
Yeah, no, that's it, Imam. And Auntie Mariam, obviously, with the iPhone.
So I think it's Ziyad and Auntie Rolda. I will add you to the list, inshallah. And I just wanted to also mention to you that what you'll find is the classes were from 8 till 9, inshallah, on a Tuesday evening. So we must start connecting at about, say, from 10 to 9.
10 to 8.
10 to 8, Imam.
From 10 to 8, yeah, you see?
10 to 8, yeah.
The earlier you connect, this was now, so then you can get into the class so long as soon as possible. And then, like, the textbook that we're using, we have put on the chat group, that the book is available. Uncle Ibrahim or Ibrahim, he's just actually, he's our liaison with Sawans. Now, they haven't got or what's happening at the moment. They actually had the books printed for us, So we're just waiting on them to confirm, when they will be done with it. Some of the students had already indicated, that we must get them one. So Ibrahim will be looking at that. So if there's anybody that maybe need, you know, if they can still maybe let me know by today. What Ibrahim will do is he will acquire the books, and then in turn we can just then settle him, you know, on that, you know. Those who have got the books, no problem, you know. It's the book. The name of the book is First Steps in Arabic Grammar. Okay, and so inshallah, we will be following that whole book through, and then we can take it further from there. And lastly, as I said, on Tuesdays also, or normally ahead of the time, Yusuf always confirms what is the Zoom link, because every lesson is on a different Zoom link, you know, that we have. And I think what is the last thing that I wanted to just share with us? I was in two minds now. The last thing that we just wanted to say. But whilst I'm thinking, is there anything that you would maybe like to know from us as to, you know, how, you know, anything, you know, that you're unclear of? How did you find the lesson for this evening? Is it at the right proper pace? Obviously, it will go a bit slower from next week onwards, or from Tuesday, obviously, you know. But the reason why I went a bit at this faster pace was basically just to update yourself. Oh yes, the last thing, Auntie Rhoda and Ziyad, what I'll do is I've got your email, I've got your WhatsApp numbers. I will load you to the group, and then what I'll do is I'll send you five what we call it, YouTube links that we had done every night after the class. Yusuf records it as we were going on, and then he makes it available on the Arabic chat group. And then you can you know, the whole class as we had conducted it here, it plays off to you, and then it also means, you know, whereby you can actually try and memorize and catch up on things, you know. Yusuf, we didn't record.
No, yes, that's what I said. Being recorded, Imam.
Oh, it's recorded as well.
Yes.
So fine. So Yusuf will make this one available also. So we'll be, you know, so we will put this one on as well for the other students as well. So inshallah, as soon as now after the class and Yusuf has recorded, he will put it on the list. Yusuf, you must give me about give me half an hour just to load the Ziyad and Auntie Rhoda. So when you then put it on, then they will also then get it, inshallah, if it's okay with you.
Yes, Imam. Yes.
Any questions before we conclude, inshallah? Anything that you want to know, or so, whatever the case may be? You know, anything? Everybody comfortable?
Good. Alhamdulillah, we're comfortable. Shukran.
Alhamdulillah. Shukran.
Shukran.
Jazakumullah, shukran for everything. Enjoy the, you know, to all our.
Very angry tonight.
You know, inshallah, may you have had a great day today. Ik hoop jullie was gespoild geweest, inshallah. You know? Ek elke dag gespoild geweest, but you know. But this is good. Also, it's a good reminder for us, you know, if we become neglectful of you know. But other than that, inshallah, enjoy. Look after yourself well, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, may Allah Ta'ala protect us and guide us safely.
Ameen.
Inshallah.
Mariam. Salam to Mariam.
Alaikum salam. Alaikum salam.
There you go.
All of the best.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yusuf, once again.
Thank you, salam.
Ya manillah. Ya manillah.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.